Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, champions of the realm. My name is Rainday, and I'm joined today by Vox Tempest, your commentators for this finals match, the grand finals here, going up against Ronin and Warpath. On the side of Warpath, on your left-hand side, we'll have Rude going as Grok, Stolzey as Barrack, SuhhhKyle onto the Pip, Smidgen onto Fernando, and doesupz will be playing Androxus, whereas on the side of Ronin, we'll have Shindu on Barrack, Blazen on Grok, Bioshi onto Fernando, sEntryyyyy onto the Kinessa that's been doing so well, and Powtek subbing in as Pip.
This is a very important match for everybody who's here. Warpath Gaming, if they take this set, they will advance to the playoffs in Week 5, and by doing so, will go to face up against Team Eager in that set. However, it's important to note that Ronin actually have to win out 2 best-of-5 sets here to be able to qualify themselves, as they did come from the losers bracket. So it's going to be very interesting to see how this one goes. An advantage immediately as nobody is on the capture point. And look at this, Smidgen pushing right up to blazen and Bioshi there. And now we have somebody on the capture point, Rude, but they're very low. Warpath taking a little bit of an early lead.
Yeah, that was huge. What we saw, the flank on the flank, that was absolutely impressive by both teams. For doesupz and the squad from Team Warpath just flanking even farther than Team Ronin thought to flank, and end up going ahead and getting, actually, I think first blood they ended up getting, but onto sEntryyyyy, but now they're having a little bit less of an advantage as Smidgen looks to be going down by that Fernando, although he's able to dash away. The death does come, and now Stolzey and SuhhhKyle here are going to be faced with a force of Ronin, who are looking to try and get back onto this point.
Oh, this is not good for Warpath as Shindu goes up on the high ground as Barrack now dropping down, going to be able to shield his team in the barricade in just a moment. But an incredibly important pick that I want to point out that just passed sEntryyyyy on that Kinessa that we talked about time and time again was taken down. And by doing so, it enables Warpath to have a bit of an easy time on the catch point. Chicken comes through, but there's a counter chicken as well. There's damage flying out everywhere. Bioshi picks up SuhhhKyle. Stolzey answers back with a kill onto blazen. Who's it going to be next?
Flanks on flanks on flanks, chickens on chickens on chickens. Oh my goodness gracious. It's like this is a match to remember. What a long contest for this point. I mean, we talked about brawls, but this is Super Smash Bros, man. This is just brawling. There is no way for this capture point to last any longer, I think, and some team has to take an advantage. And it looks like, however, Bioshi comes in with the Immortal, a nice ultimate there. However, Smidgen has something to say about that, and that's going to be going down in a second. And on the side of Warpath goes the first 2 points of this match as they proceed to start pushing this payload. What a capture point, Fox.
That was excellent. What we saw there right at the end, Bioshi on this Fernando dives in, pops the Immortal to keep Shindu alive as Shindu looks... But Shindu potentially looks there to drop a dome shield of their own in response. But out comes the Tempest from Rude. With the burst damage coming from Tempest and from Rude, it means that there's no time for Shindu to pop that dome shield down. There's no time for that point to be contested. And left all alone, Bioshi is knocked down. And look where the payload is already, as Warpath Gaming are just pushing and pushing up on Ronin, not letting them set up defenses on high ground. Taking the high ground for themselves as well is Stolzey, putting pressure onto Kinessa from range as well, showing that his rifle can potentially outbox from a distance.
Yo, Stolzey told me in chat he hits shots. Well, let's see it, buddy. sEntryyyyy actually forcing him off of that ledge, and now all of a sudden they're going to have to regroup on Warpath. The payload is stopped where it is in its tracks, and now Powtek from a nice vantage point as well as sEntryyyyy are going to be raining down potions, sniper shots, everything possible. But SuhhhKyle jumping up, weightlessing up onto the sEntryyyyy there of Kinessa. Nice transporter back to where she was, and she's able to escape for just a moment. SuhhhKyle trying to get the kill. The payload still pushing though.
Can't pick it up, but that Blazen pops an ultimate there. Tempest comes out, but there's a counter Immortal coming out from Smidgen, so no deaths on the side of Warpath Gaming. Stolzey actually answering back with a kill there. Bioshi is on the backside looking for a kill, but the payload being pushed all the while, now reaching the gate of Ronin's base. There's 1 minute and 25 seconds left on the clock, and whilst the kills are coming through, the payload is almost to conversion. All it's going to take is one more push, perhaps, from Warpath Gaming, but they're looking to stick this one out. The Dome Shield ultimate was dropped, but as Stolzey is taken down, there's no flamethrower turret, there's no damage. Rude and SuhhhKyle still around, but Rude gets picked up. doesupz looking to drop some damage down, is going to pick up blazen on the backside, and it's just a constant brawl. It's not ending.
No, I mean, nice play by Powtek to finish off SuhhhKyle onto the Pip, and again, get the double kill onto doesupz, putting them at an advantage, at least for the time being able to kind of get themselves back together. We know sEntryyyy's going to head over to the left flank, where he likes to be throwing I believe the transporter out of the mines, throwing the mines to slow players if they try and come from that left flank, and then sniping onto the right side as they again try to help this payload push slowly, ever so slightly, back away from their base. There's only
now,
34
whilst we have the
seconds left.
opportunity, let's talk about the little buff to oppressor mines that came in CB25.
Oh, yes.
They now make a noise when they're triggered. So not only is Kinessa able to throw those mines down that choke point, but she's able to leave them where they are and kind of focus down on the other choke point because she knows that nobody's going to hit her from there. She's out of the line of sight, and by doing so, she'll be able to hear when enemies look to advance. But it doesn't matter because Smidgen comes into the backline, drops a load of damage, and you can't outrun that Fernando. Now comes down the dome shield. Advantage actually going back in favor of Ronin as they keep the damage up. They keep the defense up. Bioshi won't be able to hold all by their own. Smidgen, though, is going to get taken down, as well as doesupz. The defense will go through, and that will be 400 credits to the side of Ronin.
Huge plays there. And I gotta say, one of the coolest things I saw Smidgen do was basically sentryyyyy's amazingly good at juking out with the transporter. Basically throws the transporter on the ledge, then jumps off, but then transports immediately back onto the ledge. If Smidgen would have followed her, he would have been stuck down at the bottom and she would have been back onto the ledge as the Kinessa. So really smart heads up play, not going for the fake there and staying up with her, burning her down. Unfortunately, doesn't turn into a push, but
we're going to look at
really
burn cards
nice.
real quick. We see 3 burn cards coming across for everybody on the side of Ronin, which is expected because of the advantage. But
Right.
as we're getting to the capture point, I just want to point out one of the cards which Kinessa has is Bob and Weave 2. So when she throws that teleporter, she gains an additional 80% movement speed, which is going to help her with all these jukes. But hold that thought, as there's a huge fight going on, and actually looks like Warpath Gaming side, as there was a flank and an assassination attempt on all of that team that came around from Ronin. But Ronin have been caught out. They're in a lot of trouble. Shindu's getting brought low by doesupz, who goes into reversal. Gonna wipe him out here. Yes, he will. Rue getting credit for the kill onto sentryyyy. Smidgen wiping out Shindu. And now it's Warpath Gaming looking to take this capture point back in their favor.
Great plays by doesupz, being able to get the kills there. Although Powtek comes back, doing a great job after just subbing, getting onto the squad, a fresh pair of legs essentially, and coming in, doing his job, getting kills, not dying too often, really being effective on a 9 streak, Vox, a 9 streak. And this is just his first game of the day. Incredibly strong performance from Powtek here onto the Pip.
Warpath Gaming do retain the point controls. Bioshi is wiped out, but sentryyyy is back. Those Kinessa snipes doing absolute work. There's a dome shield and a flamethrower turret. In which case, we're going to take a quick break and just go to a pause, and we will be back in just a moment.
And sorry, ladies and gentlemen, we are back with the action. We had some technical difficulties on our side, but we're back right where we were. No missing of any action here as Team Warpath and Team Rude still battling over this capture point. However, the advantage right now onto Team Warpath with Stolzey, getting a few points, popping the dome shield as well, allowing Barrick to do some damage and saving him from any damage coming out as he goes ahead and takes down Shindu. That Barrick on Barrick crime we often like to talk about, going the way of Stolzey this time, but sentryyyy still around looking to snipe out anybody who's trying to approach. As Smidgen comes onto the back line and starts aggressing.
And sentryyyy in a lot of trouble here. Is going to have to try and dodge out Smidgen. Not going to be that successful as Smidgen does catch up, netting the kill there. Rude's still alive, but Warpath Gaming, having lost this capture point, it's up to Smidgen to try and take it back, but there's only 2 members of Ronin back here at the time. Rude pops the ultimate. Bioshi pops an ultimate in response as well. That Immortal keeping him alive. And Shindu's back on point now with a barricade, able to hold it down. It's Barrick versus Barrick in the same area. They're blocking out shots from everybody. It's a complete circus on point right now, but the dome shield comes out from Ronin. There's 3 members around. They're going to be dealt a lot of damage if they stick around, but they still get the kills. Stolzey getting a double kill there, holding it down for Warpath Gaming, and they're going to take this second capture point of the game unless one member of Ronin can get back on just at the last moment. No, that is point to Warpath Gaming.
Warpath doing what they need to do, taking control of that point and taking a 4-1 lead at this point. Now Smidgen, doesupz, and Stolzey, you know what they're doing? They're going to aggress ahead of this payload, give it some time to push as Grok goes ahead and captures and just escorts it essentially. And now they take the high ground over to Bioshi. Yeah.
And if we can, I'd love to follow on camera view with Smidgen right now on this Fernando to just see exactly what they do when pushing the high ground. I can see them already up on this cliff top choke point or this cliff top little treehouse area here, grouping up with the rest of their team. They've just used shield. We know that shield is going to be on cooldown. Rude's going to start pushing the payload in, but Rude can get out of danger if they're in trouble due to the Ghost Walk availability. And by pushing in that payload, it distracts the side of Ronin. They have to focus on that and stop it out, and that allows Smidgen to push right in. They're mounted up. They're going for the backline. They're looking for this Kinessa somewhere, but they're not going to find them. Instead, turning their sights onto Blazen, and the payload's still pushing through, but the turret picks up the kill.
Nice job. And you know why they didn't find the Kinessa? It's because doesupz took her out right before that. And so doesupz a nice 1v1 into Kinessa. sEntryyy, who loves to get that spot in the left-hand side flank, but it didn't work out there because she got taken out too quickly, showing the detrimental situation of when a Kinessa gets killed before she can do enough damage and how that affects the team fight. Just making this payload push almost seem like a walk in the park as Smidgen is left alone. And of course, team members from Ronin saying, no, we're going to stop this. You're going to have to do a little bit better than that. You got us once, but will you get this final push? Looks like it's not going to be that easy. Warpath are going to have to regroup, although Rude is still here. What is he doing? He's a little hide. He's trying to hide. Is that what it is?
I think he's just waiting some of this damage out, waiting some time out, where he's going to dash away, ghost walks to safety. The payload's still here. You know what? I want to give credit to that turret that was up top on the gate there in all that team fight, because whilst the payload was being stalled out by Ronin, that turret actually took out the pip. It took out Powtek, I think. No, sorry, rather. It took out SuhhhKyle on the side of Warpath Gaming, as well as dishing damage down onto Smidgen as well, and as a result, I think that helped win the engagement for them.
Now, you're giving credit to the turret for auto-locking and shooting by itself onto any target that comes around. Is that the outplays there from the turret? Is that what it really looks like?
I'm saying that since the turret was placed in a defensive position on the top of that little bridge there, rather than a forward position looking to pick out people or knock people off their mount that are attacking, it provided a great defense opportunity. But the ultimates are coming through. Rude pops the Tempest. There's double dome shield on point. The Immortal comes out, and the payload is stuck in this point of contention. There's a second Tempest coming out, this time from blazen, looking to pick up the kills, but Smidgen's still alive. Smidgen's staying in the fight throughout all of this, and the payload hasn't moved an inch.
Yeah, this may be oh man, there's really not enough time to regroup. They've got to try to go for this. Smidgen's alive, but he gets taken down so quickly by Shindu, and now it looks like the forces are overwhelming. The tide may have turned in this battle, and it looks like Team Ronin is going to be able to stop Team Warpath from going ahead and pushing this, and again, are going to be able to get the successful defense. If they can get this next capture, it's going to be huge, but of course, I don't want to bite my tongue here. I don't want to eat my words. It's not quite over yet, but SuhhhKyle, yeah, he agrees with me. They're not going to be able to win that one, and by the way, he's going to get sniped out by sEntryyy. That's a successful defense again on the side of Ronin. Now, look at this, Fox. Two capture points lost, two successful defenses. Why do you think that is?
Now, I'm gonna blame the Kinessa again, in all honesty, because whilst Kinessa is so effective down these long line of sights on the attack and defend, it's just when she gets pushed out and when she gets pressured around a capture point, she isn't dealing the damage which she needs to. I mean, that seems to be Ronin's kind of game plan, is make the Kinessa work, protect the Kinessa, and let the Kinessa deal oodles and oodles of damage onto the enemy team. So when Fernando comes up behind her and she's forced to relocate, the rest of the team go, hey, we can come out of cover, we can have a field day and actually do what we want to, because we're not going to get two-shot in an instant. And it's working.
It is working. And now they've got blast shields as well, all on the side of Warpath. Everyone's got, almost everyone except Grox, who's got the Ghost Walk and a lot more healing and survivability, is going to have blast shields. But look at this. Again, they don't even look at the point, man. They're not even going towards the point at this moment in time. They're really trying to get the kill advantage, as Rude does take out Powtek, but Shindu and blazen are really low as well, and the advantage may be shifting towards Warpath here. Although blazen goes down, it's really not looking good for Powtek and his crew, who's gonna have to come back now with that pip and try and apply this area damage before they can secure any more points onto this.
Bioshi gets out of that engagement, just sitting at under half health there. Is going to mount up, gain a shield, and run away, but Smidgen looking to come around the backside, sitting in the caves currently, whilst the aggression on the point just isn't happening. There are no shots going there because the zone pressure is too good. Shindu does get in, but he's being hit in the back by a turret. If he doesn't have dome shield and doesn't shoot these shots out, he's in a lot of trouble. Bioshi also on the point is going to support him, but Rude pops Tempest. There's the Immortal in response, keeping everybody alive. The dome shield goes down. The flame turret is dealing massive damage, and it looks like Ronin are going to take this one back momentarily, but the contest is good. Warpath are going to be shut down so easily. Smidgen's back in the fight. The snipes aren't good enough, and Warpath are going to retain control of this capture point.
Huge plays. Malady4 doing work for Powtek, and he stays alive there. doesupz is still here, though, and Bioshi is down. doesupz with some good plays, and he does get it. Could get the kill. Can he 1v1 here? It's 1v1 Powtek versus doesupz. Who's going to come out alive? Powtek forced to retreat. Rude comes along, but Team Ronin is coming back. They've got 4 members, but so do Warpath. What's going to happen? It's 88, 91, 94, 98. Oh, and it's contested.
Blazen with a Tempest is shut down immediately by Smidgen, and the ultimate's about to come out. Don't think that there's a Dome Shield available on the side of Ronin. No, indeed there isn't. And Warpath Gaming will claim their third siege of this game. A dominant performance, and it went almost in favor of Ronin, but not quite enough. The respawns were a little bit too short on the side of Warpath. They didn't get the capture point advantage which they needed to early, and as a result, Warpath just kind of walked away with that one a little bit more than I'd like them to have.
Oh, heartbreak there, Ronin. Just a great job, but not enough. And I've witnessed these fights being kind of like several layers, right? There's the early game where everyone's not even fighting on the point. They want to get the kill advantage. Then there's the mid game where maybe you get the advantage on the point, but then you have other members of the other squads respawning. So you've got to hold there. What I'm seeing Team Ronin suffer from the most is their early game, because sentry's getting forced out too quickly. They have a decent mid game. As you saw, they almost won that fight back by coming back and grouping up, but their early game needs to be better here as the push is still continuing for Team Warpath.
1 minute and 55 seconds left on the clock. The payload almost at the gate choke point, the gate of Ronin's base, and Rude is coming in. Looks like there was a Tempest there. Definitely saw a targeter on the ground, but it could have been a graphical issue. But they are taken out very, very quickly. Blazen picks up Stolzey. Smidgen looking to come in on this Fernando on the backside once more, hiding out under the gate, just waiting for the respawns to come through for their team. Maybe going to get sniffed out, but Sentry electing to take a forward position, this time on the bridge, looking for people coming through choke points, looking for people coming through the high ground, and running this Kinessa pick. That's exactly what they need to do. And if they're able to maintain, I actually don't see Warpath making a successful conversion. It really depends on whether they can shut down this Kinessa, because if the Kinessa's still active, then by the time they get to the payload, they're already all at half health.
Exactly. So there's really, but that's the thing. Like, you have a great defensive comp, but what happens when you want to win a capture point? You haven't been able to do one yet. So the benefits of Kinessa, obviously, you have a strong defense, but can they turn that around in the next, in the next encounter? Because soon it's just going to be capture points winning the game for Team Warpath. I don't care how well you defend.
Exactly, and that really is going to come down to, can they sniff out the ambush? Can they sniff out what's coming around the corner waiting for them? Get that early capture point advantage, back off. Blazen picking up a triple kill there, though. Hold that thought. SuhhhKyle, the only one left on the side of Warpath Gaming, being brought very low, chased away by Bioshi. They're going to get out of danger just for a second, but Blazen's going to net itself a quadra kill with that lightning stuff. What a devastating Orc performance we're seeing here today.
Yeah, Blazen, again, the champion diversity, knocking people out of the park with Drogos, and then all of a sudden switching up to Drock, switching up the role, and just doing fantastic as well. I guess this guy can't stop getting kills no matter what role he's on, even with one of the lighter hitting characters, although more consistent damaging characters in Grok. So really good job by Blazen.
And now I'm almost disappointed that Warpath aren't kind of switching things up a little bit. We've seen Smidgen get into the base the same way every single time. They come in, they're spotted out by Sentry. They either manage to make their way through to Sentry, who then escapes and goes into the healing fountain, or they get forced out early because the payload's nowhere near the base and their distraction isn't good enough yet. Smidgen now on the payload. Once again, the contest is good, but Bioshi in a lot of trouble, very low. It's just about going to make it back into the healing fountain, and that means they won't be waiting on a respawn. It's going to be Fernando at full health versus just a barrack by the looks of things, and they'll take it over to overtime again. No! Defense is successful once more, but the points lead 6-3 in favor of Warpath.
And I don't care how much of an advantage you have at this point, if you cannot turn it into something concrete, if you cannot have an effective early game. I want to see Kinessa get out there and snipe someone. Right now, I want to see a kill. I want to see a headshot. I want to see everything come out onto Kinessa and get a kill, give your team an advantage. She's getting poked out way too easily by Smidgen, forcing the run, and that 4v5 is just ruining them in the early game.
Something very interesting. Can we take a look at burn cards really quickly? Sorry to cut you off there. Check out Smidgen, check out doesupz, both running this equestrian card. Now, you could argue that on doesupz, he might not have enough credits just to pick up an extra 200 or 150 card, and is going for that 100 cost equestrian. But by that, you've got a very mobile Fernando and a very mobile Androxus. They're able to mount up in about a quarter or a half of a second, and that means they're able to mount up, move around the map very quickly, and look to flank onto Sentry, and they do just that. doesupz with the accursed arm wastes it just on Sentry, but is it a waste if you're taking out that Kinessa? Who knows, as Blazen answers back with a Tempest, netting no kills there. Actually, Rude taken out, so no Grok for the side of Warpath Gaming as the point fight continues. There's a flamethrower turret and a dome shield down on point. Smidgen being brought very low, but they do have that shield available to them, and it's Warpath Gaming. They're going to come out on top.
Full man wipe. Full man wipe. Really good call there and showcase of those burn cards. Equestrian giving you 75% mount speed, so you're going to get on that mount that much faster, but also 4 blast shields. Again, it's going to make sure that Kinessa is hitting for 25% less damage, and that could be the difference between getting a 1-hit KO or getting a 2-hit KO to making it an extra 3rd hit, and then them getting able to get behind cover and not making you as effective. And again, sEntryyy gets taken out first in that match, exactly what I didn't want to see if Ronin was going to get back into this, and it's not looking good. Again, Warpath take the capture point.
I mean, Warpath are just so dominant on the capture point, and they're zoning so well that Ronin don't even go anywhere near it. They just kind of give up the capture point at this point and go, well, we're not getting anywhere to that. Let's just try and net some kills here. Let's try and maybe get a bit more of a spawn camp in this spawn payload choke point going. But SuhhhKyle answers with a chicken. Bioshi going to chase him down, however. Still chicken running after and going to net a kill for themselves there. And doesupz pushing in. Oh, in a lot of trouble as Powtek rains down hell onto them. The reversal is good. They're going to heal up a little bit with a health nugget by the looks of things, but the payload has been delayed very, very slightly. Bioshi now in trouble, but sEntryyy there to back them up.
Yeah, not a bad spot, though. Fernando should be going down here if sEntryyy can hit the shots, but a knife shield from Stolzey saving his life because sEntryyy was lining up that headshot, believe me, in that very clear channel. Now blazen is here trying to defend as well as some shots are being fired from the pip in the background on Powtek. The defense looking again very strong from team Ronin, and we want to see this extend into the other fights. But hey, this fight is not over. We know that Warpath has a chance to take game 1 with this, so we're gonna have to see, I think, probably Warpath be a little bit more determined to get this in rather than kind of waiting for the next round, right?
It might just get a little bit easier for them, though, as sEntryyy is wiped off the face of the map. That respawn going to be coming through now, but the payload slowly pushing just by itself into the base. Yep. It's already reached the gate. Bioshi's there, but Bioshi's being stalled out. sEntryy's there to contest now, but that's not who you want blocking the payload. And now it's an ultimate fight as Stolzey is going to come in with a dome shield, perhaps. Dome shield not going to go down, in fact, as Stolzey is... or is it?
No, it didn't go down.
They just walked straight in.
Down. That's it. Yep.
They just walked straight into the base. Warpath Gaming sitting at 8 points, managed to get that conversion off, win game 1 of this best of 5 set, and there just seemed to be no coordination in order to stop that last push.
Yeah. Oh, man, just great job, though. I mean, really good play. Warpath obviously is at the advantage here because they only have to win 3 games, whereas Ronin have to win 6, right? And that is a big, big deal. Now they've just made it so that they have to win 6, but they've got 1 less game to do it in, and they've got to win 3 out of the next 4. So that's a big, big problem here for them because this is a kind of already an uphill battle. One of the things I love about them, and I want to hear your thoughts as well, but for me, Knessa, 61 damage, Powtek, 91,000 damage. So
it's good to see Pip back on form. Great to see Pip back on form, and that's what we're almost expecting from these games. We expect to see Pip with these AoE malady shots, those first hits dealing maybe 600 damage to all players hit by it when they're at over 65% HP and that threshold. I mean, that's what deals the damage. That's what we're talking about, and throwing those into a group of enemies can be absolutely devastating. It just chips away at them so much that you can't mount as good of a push as you might have wanted to.
Right. And now look at this. Invigorate coming out from Rude onto the Grok. Not something we always see here. Increasing the attack speed by 16% of you and nearby allies are healed for 15% of the damage you deal. So Rude going a little bit more aggressive with his damage, and looks like it's paying off. 71,000 damage, 31 eliminations, second on his team. How do you feel about this Grok play coming out from Rude?
It's good. I like the pickup of Invigorate. One thing that we have stated a few times so far is Cauterize in closed beta patch 25 now shuts down all healing 100%. So if you're running that burn card Cauterize, running the specialty card Healing Rain on Grog isn't really going to do anything. You're not going to be benefiting from that healing at all, in which case it's actually better to just go flat damage. I mean, your enemies can't kill you if they're dead and if you kill them first, so going more aggressive, that seems to be working out. But let's take a look at the scores on the side of Ronin. That's definitely something which cannot be ignored. I mean, they're almost double at least some of the members of Warpath Gaming. And I mean, how does that work out, Rain? How does that work out that the losing team can have such a dominant damage and score performance, but still not take the game?
Well, one of the most interesting things, I think, was that there was such successful defenses. We saw that theme, right? The defensive pressure and being able to push that payload back. But not only that, getting a lot of kills on the side of the losing team as well. I'm pretty sure that they've got more kills in tandem than the winning team. And so that's going to help contribute to that also. But I think it's just the fact that this was not a stomp. This was an evenly matched game in 2 different aspects of the game that one was accredited for more more than the other. This was a team very good at defending their payload, better than the other team, and it was a good team that was a little bit better at capturing the point. Did both of those teams had moments? Was Team Ronin on the capture point contesting quite a bit? I mean, we saw that get very close in almost every single point. There was a lot of potential there for Team Ronin to have gotten one or two of those captures. It just didn't come through. So it's not surprising to me to see these big scores, especially for the Fernandos, the Pips. Obviously, Powtek doing a great job with those eliminations. Fernando being up in front, being on that capture point, being near the payload quite often, helping to get a lot of those eliminations, 32 on his hand, and Barrick as well. So these three players, essentially, Shindu, Powtek, and Bioshi, I think really played well. I think it's just up for their team to have a better cohesive plan when going onto these capture points in the next match.
And that's what really matters, because whilst, yes, if you convert the payload, you do get an extra 2 points, but you're not going to have the opportunity to do that if you don't capture the control point in the first place. And if you defend, you only get half the points you would get for capturing that control point. And so that's exactly what we saw. We saw pretty much, regardless of that last payload push going through, we saw what was best described as a war of attrition. It was just wearing down Ronin's potential point score or point cap, because the capture point was always contested well and captured by Warpath, and we've come back to it time and time again, and I don't want to beat a dead horse, but the Kinessa pick, it's fantastic on attack and defend, doesn't work on point control. Something's got to change there, but whether that's actually maybe Blazen on Grok being subbed out, as we saw in Europe working quite well, and maybe a different damage champion picked up, who knows, but something has to change there with Ronin's point control.
I'm excited to see what does change if Ronin switch up the tactics, even switch up their lineup, or they stay the same and go for that salty run back saying, hey, we can get some of those capture points, Warpath. Those don't all belong to you. And guess what? Try and get by our defenses, because we know you're having trouble with that. We'll see next match in Game 2 versus Warpath and Ronin in the grand finals of this North American set. We'll be back in just a bit. Welcome back, champions of the realm. My name is Randy, and I am joined by my co-commentator, Vox here. This is the second game of a potential three-game set here. Best out of 5 versus Warpath and Ronin. Now, we are started a little bit in between what has happened so far. The beginning and the capture has gone by a little bit. Nothing too important, though. The team started a little early, so we've reminded them to not do that next game. But we've got a couple of changes. I want to mention who the teams are. On the side of Warpath, you're going to see Stolzey onto Barrick, Rude onto Grok, Smidgen onto Fernando, doesupz onto Androxus, and SuhhhKyle onto Pip. Whereas on the side of Ronin, we're seeing a couple of new picks. Aeido onto Cassie, Shindu onto Barrick, Blazen onto that Drogos, Bioshi onto Fernando, and Powtek here on Pip. Vox, we're seeing Drogos again, baby. First time today.
It's back. It's back. Blazen running the Decimate Drogos, which I've wanted to see all day. Which the Decimate 4 card is running, increase the knockback of Expectorate by 200 units and reduce its cooldown by 4 seconds, of course, which we saw initially brought out in week 1. Just blast people around capture points, blast people over barrack shields, and just generally make a muddle and a mess of the enemy team. I'm so excited to hear it. To see it coming back in today. We've got to mention that Aeido is actually back in today. They are playing Cassie in this game, so it's good to see them back as well. So you've got double knockback, but you've still got the Fernando, and in fact, it's a Grok which is missing from the lineup today. So rather than going with the maybe let's sustain through these team fights and heal up along as we go, we're going for the whole approach with Ronin of, well, the enemy can't damage us if they're already dead, so they're going with the full frontal assault. But as we've remarked, this game is partway through and we're going to be unpausing, and we're just about ready to do so. So we'll be rejoining the action live in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's jam.
Looking really good right now, however, for Team Warpath, who have a 80, 86, 89 point advantage here onto this capture, and it looks like it's going to be uncontested at this point. So, like we've seen before, can't exactly know what happened because of the time we started, but we can imagine that the same things are playing out here. Maybe not a factor of characters or character selection, even though, because we've seen 2 adjustments, maybe just more of a fact of team strategy, why they're winning these capture points.
Could be. Payload is going to pass out through the main spawn choke point, heading up to this clifftop choke point in just a second. And all the while, the inner caves are going to be taken control over by Warpath Gaming. Up on the high ground, though, Bioshi looks to answer back. Huge Expectorate damage onto Kyle, and Kyle's wiped out there, but nobody's stopping the payload. Blazen's in a lot of trouble. He's going to get knocked out of the sky by Rude with that hit scan Grok lightning beam. Up in the air as doesupz. The Accursed Arm hits huge onto one, wipes out Aeido. That is enormous.
Big time ultimate. Wow, nice accursed arm. Aeido just getting deleted from the map. Rude still there, picking up the health potion and health drop and just healing back up a little bit. Nice push coming out so far from Warpath. That change from Cassie to away from the Kinessa, it's seeming to hurt this defense. Now they want to win the capture points, but they didn't, and we didn't see what happened. But it looks like their defense right now was considerably less effective without the Kinessa.
I'm going to agree with you there. I don't think there's any way to argue that it isn't. They're just being pushed back entirely to the payload base in 1 minute and 1 minute and 30 seconds exactly coming up on this mark. Bioshi, they're still contesting the payload, but it's stalled so close to the conversion point that a wipe here could mean death for the team. There's a chicken coming through. Shindu goes back into base for a second. Bioshi's going to get wiped out here, but Immortal is active, keeping players alive for just a moment longer. There's a double dome shield on the point, and Blazen's looking to drop damage from the sky now as well, saving Bioshi with a great expectorate. And Warpath Gaming are forced slightly back, so the defenses will hold for just a moment.
Wow, so maybe we spoke too soon, or maybe I did at least. It looks like they found a way to hold. Cassie was getting taken out very early. We're seeing her not able to get her kind of flow going. Cassie can do a ton of damage long range, and we thought she was going for the knockback, but she's going for big game 4. Weapon shots dealing bonus damage equal to 8% of your target's maximum health, so she wants to stay alive and whittle those characters down, especially the big target ones like Smidgen there on the Fernando, and even the Grok there on Rude.
Oh, hold on thought though. doesupz goes up in the end. Nets one with the accursed arm. Look, it turns our attention to Bioshi, but doesn't connect the shots in time, but does force Blazen back into spawn. Bioshi's in a lot of trouble now, being brought very low, but might actually answer back with a return kill. No, Blazen getting credit for a kill onto Rude. Bioshi going to be wiped out here. SuhhhKyle going to pressure in as well, and there's only Powtek left alive, who's dropping damage on this pip nowhere near the payload. The respawns come through in just enough time. There's Smidgen up top on the backline now, but Warpath Gaming once again are being all forced back. There's a great, I think that was actually a disengage onto Smidgen, just forcing them away from the rest of their team. And as long as somebody stays on this payload, Warpath Gaming, they're not going to be able to get back in time to push this to overtime.
Really good plays there by Powtek. Even though he gets taken out, he was part of the reason why this defense succeeded. He was able to stay around and involved, apply that area damage to so many of the members, and what looked like a potential push in and successful 4 points at the start is again a successful defense by Team Ronin. This is a pattern. I'm seeing a pattern. I don't know if you're seeing it, Vox, but it is very apparent.
I'm starting to see it. It's that little pyramid, the little Illuminati pyramid with the eye in somewhere around the map. This is going 2-1, 2-1, 2-1 quite frequently. And let's take a look at the burn cards coming out quickly. As I want to point out the burn cards coming off on Drogas as they dragon punch off towards the point. You've got Blast Shields reducing damage down over 350 by 25%. Chronos reducing all cooldowns by 20%. And also Cauterize reducing all healing by 100%. And it's the Chronos pick that I'm interested in. Chronos with a lower cooldown. That's more expectorate. That's more knockbacks. That could be devastating, but hold that thought as Rude goes in big with the Tempest, dropping a lot of damage there, but Bioshi retaining point control as most of the members of Warpath Gaming are all quite low. Blazing up in the air. Will he get the shots off? There's a dome shield in the way. He can't do any damage.
Yeah, so good though. I mean, obviously, I don't think even expectorate needs, especially with that card, needs a little bit more cooldown. I mean, I don't know. He's got a ton of cooldown already. I maybe would have liked to see some more defensive cards there, maybe a develop just to give him some more health because he's getting forced out of these fights a lot more than he needed. Although I do like the idea. Chronos, 400 credits. It's quite expensive, but hey, look, expectorate comes on, knocks Stolzey off the point. It's still 73 going ahead with Rude and Stolzey. They're securing it while Shindu's trying to say something about it, and Aeido comes back trying to land a few basics, but is getting taken out, hiding behind cover. But Bioshi is there, but it's too late because Warpath goes ahead and seals the deal on another successful capture point.
Blazen in a lot of trouble here. Gonna be knocked out of the sky. No, manages to dodge the rifle shots. There's a double kill on the side of, I think it was doesupz there, but Powtek and Bioshi answering back in force. The payload has been stalled out momentarily. Should be pushed and pressured forward in just a moment by the respawning members of Warpath Gaming. Bioshi is left to 1 versus 2 in the backline. May actually turn this in their favor. 1 versus 2. Can they dodge from the shield? There's one pickup. There's the health drop. Smidgen in a lot of trouble now as well. Bioshi wins the 1v2. Now turning their attention to Kyle around the corner. Up on the high ground, Bioshi's going to jump up there, look to pressure, but the payload is pushing forwards as there's nobody to stop it on the side of Ronin.
Get bodied. Get bodied. Bioshi just said, come at me, bro. Come at me, bro. He's going on SuhhhKyle now. Bioshi with another kill. 3 in a row for Bioshi. This is ridiculous. He's on a 4 streak, actually. He's going on Rude now. Bioshi gets a kill on Rude. Somebody stop this man.
That is a delayed quadra kill onto a Fernando. That is absolutely phenomenal. And they're still going in on the backline. And what's even more important is that Bioshi is running the card Gather. When you pick up a health nugget dropped by killing a player, you instantly regenerate 20% of your maximum health. So that's why they've been able to stay alive through all of these fights, because every time they go in and get a kill, it's 20% of my health back. That's a fifth of their health back every single time. And they're just chaining these kills together for absolute decimation of Warpath Gaming.
Oh, so good, so strong. And honestly, Bioshi, with the build that he's running, the health that he has is going to be somewhere near 5,600 damage, which means he's gaining back 1,680 damage every health drop he picks up. 1,680 health. That's like Pip's life. That's like all of Pip's life. Pip starts out with a 1,900 health. I mean, that's like a Pip. You're throwing a Pip on your shoulder. Just say, take all this damage for a second. And that's ridiculously strong for a character like Bioshi, who you want to burst down and get him out of your face. You don't want Fernando staying around, but if he gets that health drop, you can't focus. You can't. The issue is you cannot waste your time trying to kill Fernando for more than 5 seconds, 6 seconds. If you can't do it, you need to focus on other targets. Otherwise, they're going to burn you down as well.
And thinking of burning down the payload, is burning down this avenue. It's past the gate, it's going into the base. Bioshi, the last point of defense here, is going to hold for seconds, and respawns from Ronin are coming through. But doesupz with an Accursed down, wipes out Patex, turns their attention in turn to Aeido. But they're very, very low. The reversal isn't quite good enough. Aeido gets the kill there. Smidgen now the target of choice, I would say, as this Fernando could stick around and potentially take the payload into overtime. There's 22 seconds left on the clock, but look at Rude. Rude in the backline potentially has Tempest available. If they dive in there, there's nobody on the payload right now, whilst there is a turret. They're going to go in. There's going to be a backdoor potential coming through here.
I don't know if they expect this. I don't know if they expect. You know what? Is Rude... I don't know if he's going to even go for this. Rude is here, but he got blown up with that Malady 4 from the Pip. doesupz is here now, too. Oh, he had a Tempest. That's what it was. He had a Tempest. He knew he could win the 1v1. doesupz and Rude go back door, and they get the successful conversion. Oh, my God. What a play. Outplayed. Just outthought. Unbelievably strong. Pip was not expecting that Tempest, and it takes him down. He thinks he's got a 1v1. He's going to be able to burn down Grok. No sirree, Bob. And he takes him down, and look at this game. 6-1. That was pretty amazing. That was hot.
That was fantastic. Rude recognizing the opportunity that they could go in, and not only go in, but go in and win. And I'm wondering, where was Ronin? There's got to be a bit of miscommunication there. You don't leave your Pip left alone to defend the payload. Yes, they might have ultimate, but they've got such a low health pool, 1900 as you earlier stated, that they can get burst easily, and that's just what happened. Now the spawn point has spawned on the central point of Igloo, and it's going once again to Warpath Gaming as they just retain heavy control over all these capture points. But Dome Shield has been popped on the point. That means the Dome Shield will be down in just a few seconds, opening up potential avenue of entry for Shindu and the guys. But doesupz nets a kill onto Aeido. The kills keep on coming. Smidgen, doesupz once again, more kills coming out, and Ronin just don't exist right now. They've all been forced off the capture point. That's a triple kill for doesupz. Will it be a quadra kill? No, Kyle nets the wipe, and that is the entire team of Ronin just non-existent.
Yo, Kyle, with that kill steal, though. Man, doesupz is like, give me that triple, man. Come on, I want the announcers to shout me out. But SuhhhKyle stealing the day there. Bioshi had an 8 streak, and now he's back to 0, losing any burn cards he has as well as the fight progresses. What? Oh,
look at where the fight's going. And the fight's going on in Ronin's base, despite the capture point not having been held. Just delaying everybody there for so long, because you got to deal with the Fernando. You got to deal with the Barrack, because they place a turret down. You can't mount up because the turret's hitting you in the back of the head. But the capture point has been contested just at the last second. The ultimates have come out, the Dome Shield has gone down, but all of Warpath Gaming are still sitting at full health. It's going to be a tough one for Ronin to come back from, and the chicken is huge. Rude picks up a kill, doesupz picks up a kill. They're just getting eliminated one by one. Bioshi, the only player left, wiped out once again, and this capture point will go in favor of Warpath Gaming. 8-1 lead the points.
I don't know if I will ever say this again out of a Paladin setting, but chicken's so strong. Look at that ultimate, dude. That literally took all of the Aeido, and I believe it was Patek potentially just out. They had a nice contest. They might have even won that capture point, but the chicken, the evil mojo from Pip, turns them into helpless little chickens, and just they get eliminated. What a nice play. Way to save that till the end when they really needed it and could take advantage of it with the group calls, focusing the attention. They got burned down too quickly, and that was just a great play coming out from the Pip on the enemy team. So Kyle.
I think that was actually, the first 2 kills of this round, if I'm not mistaken, taking out doesupz and SuhhhKyle as burn cards remain on Rude, Smidgen, and Stolzey, and look at the payload location. This is devastation.
Yeah. Yeah, this is bad. This is a bad spot, and honestly, they need to get this out of. They need to stop and pretty much look to group up again because their defenses have not been successful. We saw the Kinessa switch, but Aeido has not been able to be as successful in this Cassie. He's getting burned. He forward rolls there. I don't understand that. Why would you forward roll as a Cassie? Go back into your base, be able to maybe stop where Blazen's is doing. Help them. Shindu and Bioshi, a forward roll. I think Eido's a little tilted here. He just needs that. He wants that kill. He's trying to go ahead and say, hey, listen, I'm not just going to die here, but ends up putting himself in too aggressive of a spot. And Warpath take game 2. And to be honest, there's only one more they have to win until it's GG, and they're advancing to the Week 5 finals to potentially go to DreamHack.
I just want to point out, Stolzey ended that game with a triple kill. That's a Barak getting a triple kill. Okay, which when there's a flamethrower turret around, that's not as impressive because you know it deals a lot of tick damage. If you're running a double turret Barak, well, the turrets deal a lot of damage, but a rifle shot only dealing 350 damage, which whilst yes, it's relatively easy to hit at a range that you still got to predict the enemy's trajectory. That's impressive work, and it's reflected in the scores. Barak there sitting at 48,000 damage despite running a defensive build. That's really impressive on the side of Stolzey.
Yeah, it is really impressive. I mean, the guy said he didn't miss, and look, he's sticking up to what he said. He's manning up and saying, I'm not going to miss, and doing a ton of damage. 48k, second in damage, and he's got a pip on his team as well. Okay, let's not forget that. SuhhhKyle, and not a bad pip at all, doing a really good job in a lot of those plays with the Malady 4. Barak still out damaging him, so really good play by Stolzey. Vox, we saw the change. Aeido going on to Cassie. We saw the lineup change. Powtek staying in, even though Aeido comes back after GPU issues. Now we've seen also the change from Blazen on to Drogos from the Grok. No Grok in this lineup. So they didn't have the healing, they didn't have the totem, they didn't have the push, or a lot of that healing sustain. What needs to change?
You know what I'm wondering?
Or does anything need to change? I mean, they changed too much, maybe.
Well, you know what I'm really wondering?
What?
Where's the Ruckus? You got a Fernando, right? And whilst Fernando can pop up that shield and drop a Hexafire, if you bait out the Fernando shield or you pick up Wreckers on every member of your team, whilst yes, it will give you more fireballs with the card Heat Transfer, because out of every, say, Smidgen's running Heat Transfer 1, for example, if we hover over that, every 400 damage your shield takes reduces the cooldown of Fireball by 1 second. But if everybody breaks down that shield, or the shield is just baited out and then it's on cooldown, you pop a Hexafire, that's no more Fernando. That issue is completely out of dodge, and not just that, if you're running Gunship Ruckus, you've got this hyper-mobile carry that you can get around the map quite easily. And I'd like to get into the players' heads and wonder quite why that isn't coming back out in team compositions and why you'd pick Cassie over it. I mean, you've got Drogo's already being quite squishy and having that knockback potential. Running them both whilst you got double knockback, it just didn't seem as effective as it should have been.
I agree with that, actually. And I was going to mention this. I don't think we've seen Ruckus all day, to be honest. I don't think Ruckus
I haven't seen Ruckus once in North America today.
And is that, I mean, that's, I feel like, are we in the Twilight Zone or something, guys? Like, what's, does Twitch know something we don't know? Like, why is Ruckus not at all being included? I know he's gotten nerfed. The emitter obviously hitting him pretty hard. Not only that, but the fact that Projector is a card that used to give emitters effects, still gives emitters effects over to allies, making his shield that much more useful to buff the entire team and grant that shield to teammates. But the emitter did get nerfed by about 30%.
It went down from, was it 1,500 to 1,000,
right?
Oh, right, yes, the emitter health as well.
Yeah,
nerfed by 500 health, and that's pretty significant. So you're absolutely right on that count.
But we saw Gunship getting picked up, right? The hovering Ruckus, the damage Ruckus. We've seen that be more effective even in these last weeks. So I'm really curious why everyone has abandoned Ruckus in these games. And I think it's an opportunity here, especially for Team Ronin, who have nothing to lose here. They got to win. They've got to win 3 in a row now. Bring the Ruckus out. Cassie on Aeido, I'd like to see Ruckus come in, maybe put Aeido on something he's more comfortable with, but I would love to see the Ruckus or even switch up the build on Aeido. Maybe more knockbacks are needed. Maybe he needs to run Megaton and just create so much havoc that they have a chance for Bioshi to really take advantage of some knockback, some floundered, some lack of communication, lack of controlled teams. But we'll see in a moment as we head over to Game 3 in just a second. Stay tuned. Stay where you are. We're coming back with this. Will Warpath be advancing on to the final rounds in Week 5 to have a chance for $100,000 at DreamHack in Sweden? Or will Ronin have something to say about that and put themselves back in this game with a victory for the first time in this set? It's 2-0 Warpath. Let's see what happens next game in just a bit. Welcome back, champions, Paladins of the Realm. It's getting time to get busy. Game 3 is approaching, and we are about to start with the action in just a moment. Versus Team Warpath and Team Ronin. Warpath with a 2-0 convincing performance in this last round, allowing them to secure victory and make themselves a spot in the Week 5 finals and an opportunity to go to DreamHack if they get this next win. On Team Ronin, however, they're going to have to upset Team Warpath and beat them 3 times in a row to stay relevant here and win this game and turn the brackets over. And so we'll see who's on each team and what changes might have been made. On Team Ronin, you're going to have Aeido on to the Androxus. You're going to have Shindu onto the Barrack, Bioshi onto Fernando, Blazen onto the Grok, and Powtek onto the Pip. As the engagement goes on, let's talk about the action here, and we'll get to introducing our men from Team Warpath in just a moment after this capture point gets contested.
Shindu on the high ground looks to drop some damage onto those folks in the capture point, but it's a double kill on the back line of which Warpath will pick up their Smidgen going in deep alongside doesupz. doesupz netting a double kill. Can doesupz get the triple kill? They do! Can doesupz make it a quadra kill as Bioshi is a target of choice? No! Kyle getting credit for that kill. doesupz denied a quadra kill, but Warpath Gaming a dominant showing on this first capture point of the game, leaving one member, the Barrack, the Stolzey there left on the point, as the rest of them push out to zone and make some space for the payload arriving shortly.
Yeah, fantastic. And they need no introduction, apparently, because they're introducing themselves to Team Ronin quite effectively, getting that capture point so simply. Yeah, you'd hardly think there was a contest. It's doesupz onto the Androxus. You've got Stolzey onto the Barrack. You've got Rude onto the Grok. You've got SuhhhKyle onto Pip. And you've got Smidgen onto Fernando, all on the side of Team Warpath.
And there's a couple of phrases I'd like to point out just here. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. And that's just what Warpath are doing. But alternatively, if you can't beat them, join them. And that's just what Ronin are doing. And Aeido getting a kill there onto Stolzey. Killing that Barrack will help them mount this defensive. But all the while, Rude on Grok is going to push this payload through. It's approaching the major cliff-top choke points. The inner caves are being battled for in terms of dominance. And Smidgen might just get out of there. No, blazen picks the kill onto them. Androxus now the target of choice. But it's Ronin that they're going to have to retreat as Rude is constantly pushing this payload through. And there needs to be somebody left there to stop it.
Yeah, Rude doing a good old job. And if you, like you said, join them. They got identical team comps here trying to basically just outplay the other. This is the real test of outplays here. But I say the advantage still goes to Warpath because they've been playing with this exact comp for the last 2 games. And, of course, Ronin trying to wing back to this one. Bioshi in a little bit of trouble here, trying to basically defend, but it looks like Warpath have some different ideas. Rude aggressing over the front, forcing Blazen to jump up into the air, actually Aeido into the air, and try and shoot a couple of long-range shots, hoping to take out doesupz, and he does, but the push is still going in behind him.
Oh, and there we have the Chicken and Tempest ultimate combination coming through, but a great immortal from Fernando. Bioshi keeping the team alive. Smidgen also pops one, if I'm not mistaken, keeping the rest of the team alive, but Aeido in the sky pops a cursed arm onto Stolzey. He hits one shot, maybe the rest clipping the top of the barricade, and Stolzey managing to duke it out for another 2 seconds. There's 1 minute and 10 seconds left on the clock at this point. Warpath Gaming have the chance to wait for respawns, regroup, mount another offensive, and that's just what they're going to do. And the payload, it's setting its potential backdoor opportunity again, as nobody's on the payload. There's just a Pip left there to defend, but Shindu, Blazen, a bit closer in proximity this time, making sure that that doesn't happen again, and I do hope the Ronin have learned their lesson from that.
Yeah, and to be honest, I don't mind having the payload right here. Like, honestly, I wouldn't mind the payload stopping, maybe even right here, because it's not really going to matter if you get it, I don't know, like 10 meters back more towards their base. You're not going to push it farther than that. You're not going to get past the choke point. But what it does do, if you force them to come a little closer to your base, you get a better vantage point for Pip to be able to shoot down onto them. But you're also closer to your respawn. You're closer to your health pool. So I might like the payload to stay right there, even though it's kind of counterintuitive to think, hey, let's push it back as far as we can. I actually think since you're this far already, let it stay there and use the advantage of the upper ledges, the height advantage. Harder to aim straight up as an offensive player in attack if you have a little bit of range from the back end. So so far this push looks like it's not going to be successful. And again, Ronin, defenders, the masters.
2-1-2-1.
Yep, again, unbelievable.
That is a 400 credit advantage to the side of Ronin, who are going to pick up some burn cards. Now, let's take a look at the scoreboard and see just what they're electing to go into. Powtek picks up on aggression. Bioshi there going for nimble, 20% increased movement speed, the equestrian pickup, and the gather pickup. And I like this gather pickup. We've previously seen aggression run on Fernando quite successfully in Europe. Yesterday, Elven Path making great use of that for the extra lance damage. But gather, keeping them alive for a little bit longer. If you're running a flanking pair, that's going to assist. But comparatively, Smidgen also running the same build, electing to go into blast shield kills instead. doesupz with that, doesupz sitting there with aggression and equestrian on the Androxus. That is one revolver that's going to swing.
I think Gather has been a card that's been stronger than most people realize until now. Like I've been saying a little bit in our talks and kind of a little bit on the cast that I found Gather to be really effective on characters like Grover, but a lot of people are finding it to just be generally effective. Because when you get the kill, if you can get that kill, but then also regen 30% of your health back after that health drop, I mean, that gives you that much more of an advantage. Now you have sustain in that fight, and really it is just about getting that last hit, because then it doesn't matter if you're almost
that thought
dead,
for a moment. Somebody's gone up into the sky. It's doesupz on Androxus, drops the cursed armor as soon as those dome shields go down. Warpath, once again, looking to pick up some kills here. doesupz nets a double kill. Smidgen picks up another, forcing out Stolzey there, picks up Aeido as well. That's going to force out every single member of Ronin as Powtech now under a lot of pressure from Smidgen. Smidgen netting a double kill there. And once again, Warpath Gaming just showing such dominant capture point control that there's no chance for Ronin to even get back onto the respawns are coming through, but they're too far away. They're too staggered. They're not going to get there in time. Shindu's going to try and make their way in, but they get dismounted immediately. And this second capture point of the game is going to go to Warpath Gaming.
Yeah, I mean, Gather, not very effective if you can't get any kills, because you got to get the health drops from that, unless you got a Ying basically popping health drops from her shatter illusions, but I'm not even sure those proc at this point.
It's only health nuggets actually dropped from player kills, so anything dropped from like Fernando's field dressing, where he drops health drops when he's next to an objective, and also when we're running it's first aid kit on Barrack, when the turrets drop health drops, none of those actually proc Gather, so it is only kills. You're very right, you do have to net those kills, you do have to get that damage off and succeed in these team fights to make use of Gather, and it's just not working out for Ronin. Now the high ground contest is going on, but I mean, Ronin just aren't making use of the high ground advantage they had momentarily, as the payload has actually broken through the clifftop choke point.
Yeah, and this is not looking good, but again, it's always not looking good for Ronin until they get to right about these double trees here, right at the edge. Even though Powtech, Smidgen is here, and it looks like there's not much, they usually hold up a really good defense right here. There's 2 minutes on the clock, though.
Right on cue, the respawns coming through. There are indeed, it's 1 minute 53 seconds now. That's a lot of time to make a very small amount of distance. Warpath Gaming don't have much work cut out from them, but they do have enough if Ronin's previous defenses are anything to go off. Powtech managing to get a chicken off at the last moment, but actually falls at the same time. And this is going completely different from the last time we saw a defense. It's going heavily in Warpath's favor. The payload is pushing right in. The respawn is coming out from Aeido. Where's Bioshi? Bioshi is on the point, but they've got no health left. They're going to be taken down. There's a turret doing work, but it's all being absorbed by a barricade. Stolzey able to keep it alive, but the respawns are coming through, and in a clutch push as Immortal comes through on the side of Warpath Gaming. That payload is going to get converted. That defense is going to fail just at the last second. That Fernando ult helping Warpath Gaming clutch it through.
Wow, I think actually they wanted to defend that. I don't think they wanted to just let that go. I think we had Blazen on the top. I think he tried to jump down at the last minute and kind of bait them out. But man, I think he missed it. I think he just came out too late. I think that was the problem, because he had his ultimate. He had his ultimate available. And so, man, wow. Okay, very interesting play. So, we're looking at the nether bird cards again. Gather, again, being prioritized on the side of Ronin. You're seeing Equestrian getting picked up, and Nimble onto the Fernando, going to allow him to mount 75% faster and move 30% quicker, which is a really nice pickup in terms of this. We're seeing this a lot on the Fernando. What do you think about this, Fox? I mean, is this kind of like the new Fernando meta, you think?
It is. When Fernando received a nerf going into CB25, his movement speed was reduced to by 30% of his normal movement speed. Whilst firing that lance, we can't kind of run after people and just keep on burning them as he used to be able to. So now he has to sort of burn them for a bit, then shield maybe, or charge after them, burn them a bit more, and as soon as they get out of range, if they try and run away and try and escape, he just mounts up and runs after them. And of course, whilst that 700 damage shield is active, thanks to the card Insurmountable, if I'm not mistaken, yes, indeed, that's 750 damage from Insurmountable 3. He's unable to be dismounted, so it's very difficult to escape from.
Yeah, and so he's basically guaranteeing himself that shield. He's guaranteeing himself that shield, which is really, really strong. So, you know, Smidgen obviously over in the corner before this whole engagement is still going on. There's a lot of action taking place around the point now, but Smidgen was able to go ahead and take out Aeido again. He's just been dominating these backline targets. And again, you see Smidgen, who's picked up a couple of different cards, but before he had Blast Shield. So instead of the Gather, he says, I want to basically not take as much damage from the targets I'm going after. And now Smidgen comes back.
Kill.
This from by Stolzey?
Yep, that was a triple kill from Stolzey again, not missing those shots. And Shindu's left the only one on the capture point. It's at 81, but the respawns are coming through. They need everybody back on the capture point as soon as possible. Blazen around the backside is going to be spotted out by Rude, forced off the mount, dismounted, and the capture point again is going in favor of Warpath Gaming. They're unstoppable. They just can't be stopped. Their capture point control is too good. Their flanks are too strong. Their high ground control is perfect, and it's going to go the same way as the last point if that is anything to go by.
Now, at this point, I could see Ronin not defending, to be honest, because this is a mind breaker right here. This is where your mentality is like, we lost another capture point, like, again, and now it's like, what does it matter if we defend? I mean, they're just going to win the next capture point, you know?
Or even if they don't, take it as Ronin win the capture point. The points are 8-1. The maximum you get is 9. All Warpath have to do is defend successfully, and they win off that anyway. It's you're damned if you do, and you're damned if you don't. So in order to stay in this, Ronin have the impossible task up ahead of them, and it's going to be very, very difficult for them. And not only that, it's the morale impact of losing a mirror match. That's got to hit you hard.
Yeah, and after changing so many times, we didn't see a squad or character change not happen in each match. So we saw something from the squad or the characters every single match, it seemed like. And unfortunately, Ronin just weren't able to have any consistency in this match. Now, there is still a good hold, and we're not counting them out yet. But if things go the way that they have been going so far, it looks like Warpath is going to be able to close out this game either at this push or at the next capture point. Let's see if Ronin has something to say about that. And of course, Curse of the Commentators usually goes the other way than what we're saying, but not sure if they're going to be this lucky today, Vox.
I was going to say, I mean, the payload got contested for a second, but Smidgen's back, doesupz back. There's nobody on the payload. Powertech has to get there. Does get there just in time. There's going to be a temporary hold, but blazen goes in with the Tempest. Actually steps away from the payload. And by stepping away from the payload gets pushed in and converted because Smidgen's still on it. No, all of Ronin just took too many steps away. The payload will go through. What an incredible turn of events.
Amazing plays, and just, again, capping off an excellent performance by Warpath. Warpath last week... go ahead.
What a misplay is what I'm gonna say, is because Ronin, they go in with the damage ultimates. They go, yeah, we can force Warpath Gaming off, forgetting that actually there's a Fernando still staying on the payload that's just gonna push it in. If we step away from it, they back off from the payload for just a second, and it's enough for it to be really just front-doored right past their face and just adds insult to injury in that situation.
Yeah, and you see Ronin making mistakes, but again, you make mistakes, you're feeling not very confident in yourself, you haven't been able to win a point, you're not really seeing any future. It's a difference if they won one of the capture points. I don't know if they won any capture points for Ronin, to be honest. I mean, maybe they won one, but I don't remember almost any.
In this set, I'm pretty sure they won one in previous sets.
Okay, in previous sets, but what I'm saying is now in this set, I mean, they didn't win one capture point, it looked like, so you just don't see any hope. You don't see any future. I mean, it's one thing to want to recover from something, to want to be better. But if you don't see any reason for that, right? If you don't see any reason to really defend, I mean, I think they step off. Yes, it's a misplay, but maybe it's just a mentality thing saying, hey, guys, we're going to have to bring it next week because we're not getting this one. They clearly have their stuff together.
But as you said, that is not all said and done for the side of Ronin. They do have the opportunity to qualify next week in the 4th and final week of our initial qualifying tournament for the Paladins Founders tournament, going to be going on at DreamHack Summer in Sweden. So we'll see, hopefully, at least. I mean, we're going to hope that everything goes okay for them, but we'll see Ronin back next week. And the dominant performance which they exhibited against, let's see, who was it? It was Zenith Black. So with that performance in mind, I would categorize Ronin as the top remaining team in North America that actually has a chance at qualifying unless Zen really pull it out of the bag. Maybe not go for the weird and janky picks like Ying and go for something a bit more meta, but maybe CB26 for the next time that comes around. And who knows how the game will change before then.
That's really nice to see because I hope we're not going to really see any of these mismatched plays. We're seeing less and less of them. We're seeing more competitive games as the weeks go on because some of these kind of clearly higher tier teams who are a little more coordinated and know what they're doing are getting moved on and not participating in these weeks and waiting till week 5. But now that we've got even less, Warpath is moving on. Ronin has a little bit less to take care of. And so them and Zenith are looking like very strong contenders to be in the finals next week, but we're not counting anyone out. We'd love to see all of the good teams coming out and the new teams who are wanting to register and give it a try. We encourage it. I mean, hey, there's $100,000 on the line potentially and a ticket to Sweden. I think it's worth, putting a little energy onto the weekends playing a video game, in my opinion. So I'm excited for all the teams able to join. We're almost going to be ending this broadcast, but Vox, any last thoughts to leave the viewers and teams that have just played today in this really exciting and well-played set?
Well, it was certainly a spectacle to watch there. Definitely a dominating performance from Warpath Gaming, who will advance to face off against Team Eager, the second qualifying team out of North America in the playoffs in week 5, coming at you in just a couple of weeks from now. So that's going to be very exciting to see. But don't forget, this tournament will be back for week 4, starting again in Europe next Saturday and then North America next Sunday. The last chance for all of these teams to look at qualifying for the playoffs and then potentially qualifying for DreamHack. But to everybody that's attended today, thank you all so much for joining us. It's been a pleasure to cast for you. It's been a pleasure to cast the teams which have participated today. And I'm excited that we got to showcase some of the less well-known and less showcased teams earlier in the week. Once again, thank you very much to our admins and cameramen and general all-round tech wizards and gurus, Onilight and Phasian from Paladins World. A huge thank you to Hi-Rez Adanas, who joined us here today, gave us some lovely little tips behind the scenes, and it was just excellent to have on with us today. And of course, Rain Day, any closing thoughts from you?
Oh, man. Well, it's just been a pleasure, Vox. You know, I love casting with you. It's been a lot of fun. And I'm excited for next week when we're going to be able to do it again and see who's going to be the final qualifier for this North American scene. Again, I want to issue my thanks to all the viewers who watched and stayed through with us. I think we had a couple crashes, but I think things have been really, really solid. Solid stream. Solid stream. We're gonna leave it at that pretty much. Very solid stream and really a lot of fun. Shout outs to both these teams, Warpath Gaming, Ronin, all of the teams who are participating today. Thank you so much. If you want to follow me at Rainday Gaming on Twitter, feel free to do that. And of course, I don't know if you know, but I'm a Smite YouTuber, so you can check out my channel at Rainday Gaming as well if you guys want to check out some cool Smite stuff.
Can I just plug something for you rather than you do it yourself? Rainday just released a wonderful video, which I definitely recommend you'll go and watch. If you're a bit out of the loop about the whole class shooter argument going on at the moment between Paladins and Battleborn on Overwatch, Rainday has a fantastic video breaking it all down, and especially talking about why Paladins is in the state it currently is, where it's currently in with closed beta, and I'd definitely go give it a watch. And of course, if you would like to play Paladins and you don't have a beta key as this game is in closed beta, don't forget to visit paladins.com/community to pick it up there. My name, of course, has been Vox. You can find me on Twitter at VoxTempest, and from all of us here at Paladins World, good night.